You are about to throw away $30,000 on a used diesel truck because you trust a forum post instead of a micrometer. Right now, the internet is screaming that the Ford Powerstroke is a ticking time bomb, while Ram and Chevy owners are laughing all the way to the bank. They have it completely backwards. I have spent over 15 years tearing down these exact engines in my shop. I see where the metal actually fails, not where the comment section says it fails. The market is panicking. Values are dropping faster than a dropped wrench. But if you know how to read the engineering flaws instead of the marketing brochures, you can exploit this panic to buy a massive amount of capability for pennies on the dollar. Let us start counting down the real mechanical realities of these trucks. Setting 7. The 2011-2014 first-generation 6.7L Powerstroke U are told to avoid the early 6.7L like the plague because of the catastrophic failure reputation. The truth is, you just need to know how to spot the difference between a 2011 and a 2013. Ford launched this engine as their first in-house design to escape Navistar. They messed up the emission parameters. The early 2011 and 2012 exhaust gas recirculation systems run so cold during short trips that they choke on their own soot. This causes massive back pressure. That back pressure forces diesel fuel past the piston rings, dropping your oil viscosity from a stable 15W40 down to a watery mess. When oil viscosity drops, your rod bearings lose their hydrodynamic wedge. You get metal-on-metal contact at 2,000 RPM. By 2013, Ford quietly revised the EGR cooler flow rate and updated the injector return lines to handle the pressure spikes. The financial stakes the trap. A unverified 2011 model with fuel-diluted oil leading to a destroyed bottom end. Cost: $15,000 engine replacement. The solution: a documented 2013 or 2014 model selling for $10,000 less than a comparable Cummins. Cost: $0. Your actionable fix: pull the oil dipstick immediately before you even start the truck. Wipe it on a clean white paper towel and smell it. If you smell even a hint of raw diesel fuel, walk away. The engine is already washing its own bearings. Setting 6. The 2015 to 2016 second-generation 6.7L Powerstroke. This is the smartest buy on the market right now because the average buyer cannot tell the difference between a first-generation and a second-generation block. They see a 6.7L badge, remember the 2011 forum horror stories, and walk away. Mechanically, Ford fixed the turbocharger issues by swapping the problematic dual compressor setup for a single, wastegate-free sequential unit. They bumped torque to 860 pound-feet, but they left a massive landmine right in the valley of the engine. The Bosch CP 4.2 high-pressure fuel pump. This pump relies entirely on diesel fuel for lubrication. American diesel fuel lacks the lubricity of European diesel. The roller lifters inside the pump can turn 90 degrees out of alignment. When they turn, they scrape the cam lobe, generating microscopic steel shavings. Those shavings go straight into your injectors. The financial stakes the trap, ignoring a slight hard start and letting the CP4 pump explode. Cost: $10,000 complete fuel system replacement. The solution: installing an aftermarket bypass kit or catching a worn pump early. Cost: $500 independent shop repair. Your actionable fix: demand the fuel filter service history. If the owner cannot produce receipts showing filter changes every 15,000 miles, budget for an immediate fuel system pressure test at a specialized diesel shop before you hand over a single dollar. Setting 5. The 2017 to 2019 third-generation 6.7L Powerstroke. These trucks are bleeding value right now because of a transmission fluid channel design flaw that the factory tried to hide with software updates. The engine itself is a masterpiece, putting out 450 horsepower and 935 pound-feet of torque. But Ford paired some of these early third-generation trucks with an unrefined 10-speed automatic transmission. Under heavy towing loads, the fluid pressures inside the valve body drop during the 3 to 4 shift. This pressure drop causes the clutch packs to slip for a fraction of a second. That slip creates massive heat, glazing the friction material and leading to premature transmission failure. The market has responded by tanking the resale value of these model years, wiping up to $25,000 off their peak prices. The financial stakes the trap. buying a 10-speed model that has never received the mandatory TCM recalibration. Cost, $7,500 transmission rebuild, the solution. Targeting the 6-speed torque shift variant or verifying the latest Ford software flashes. Cost, $150 dealer flash, your actionable fix. Look at the transmission selector. If it is a 10-speed, take the truck on a test drive and bring the transmission up to full operating temperature. Perform 3 hard accelerations from a dead stop. If you feel any hesitation or a harsh slam between 3rd and 4th gear, refuse the truck until the seller gets a certified dealer to verify the software calibration status. Setting 4. The 2020 to 2022 4th generation 6.7L Powerstroke. This truck is the victim of pure economic panic, making it the single most undervalued heavy-duty truck on the used market today. People stretched their finances to the absolute limit to buy these trucks during the pandemic shortages. Now, repossession rates are climbing and supply is flooding the market. Mechanically, this engine is a monster, pushing 1,050 pound-feet of torque thanks to a new variable geometry turbocharger compressor wheel. There are no major inherent engineering defects in this generation block. The danger here is not what the factory did. It is what the previous owner did to escape the factory parameters, because these trucks use complex, selective catalytic reduction systems. Lazy owners frequently perform illegal emissions deletes rather than maintaining the diesel exhaust fluid system. The financial stakes the trap, buying a truck with a deleted exhaust system in a state that enforces visual or OBD2 readiness testing. Cost, $8,000 to replace the missing emissions equipment. The solution, buying a bone stock, certified commercial fleet vehicle with documented maintenance. Cost, $0. Your actionable fix. Crawl directly under the passenger side of the cab. Look for the massive canister that houses the diesel particulate filter. If you see a straight piece of exhaust pipe or shiny aftermarket welds, stop the inspection. Unless you live in an area completely exempt from emissions laws, that truck is a rolling legal liability that you cannot legally register. Setting 3. The 2008 to 2010 6.4L Powerstroke. We are entering dangerous territory now. This is the most volatile diesel engine ever put in a consumer vehicle, and the prices reflect it. You can buy these trucks all day long for $15,000, but you are playing Russian roulette with 8 fuel injectors. International designed this engine with a sequential twin-turbo system that makes incredible power. But the cooling system is a complete joke. The dual EGR coolers cycle thermal stress directly into the cylinder heads. The factory torque-to-yield head bolts have a microscopic clamping force margin. When the coolant gets too hot, the head bolts stretch by just a few thousandths of an inch. That tiny gap allows combustion gases to enter the cooling jacket, which pressurizes the reservoir and cracks the thin injector cups. Once those cups crack, coolant pours straight into the combustion chamber, locking the engine up instantly at highway speeds. The financial stakes the trap, buying a cheap, unverified 6.4L for short-distance grocery getting. Cost, $18,000 catastrophic engine replacement. The solution, finding a meticulously maintained example with documented upgraded EGR coolers and studs. Cost, $200 pre-purchase inspection. Your actionable fix. Open the hood and check the Degas bottle cap. If you see white chalky residue around the cap threads, the cooling system is overpressurizing because the head gaskets are already blown or the EGR coolers have failed internally. Close the hood and walk away. You think the 6.4L is a gamble? You have not seen anything yet. The next trucks on this list have flaws that will make a grown mechanic cry, and the pricing data shows that the market is preparing for an absolute slaughter. Setting 2. The 2003 to 2007 6.0L Powerstroke. This is the engine that launched 1,000 lawsuits, destroyed Ford's multi-decade partnership with Navistar, and filled independent diesel repair bays for 20 years. The internet treats the 6.0L like a toxic chemical spill. Resale values have completely hit rock bottom, with functional trucks trading between $8,000 and $16,000. But if you understand the metallurgy and hydraulic principles at play, this panic is your ultimate leverage. The 6.0L relies on a high-pressure oil system, HPO, driven by a dual-gear pump that pushes engine oil up to 4,000 psi to fire the hydraulic electronic unit injectors, HEU. The factory engineering failure isn't the injection system itself. It is the thermal management. The factory oil cooler uses microscopic fluid passages that run parallel to the cooling system's silicate heavy coolant. Over time, that factory coolant degrades, drops its silicates, and plugs the oil cooler's tiny passageways. When the oil cooler clogs, oil temperatures skyrocket past 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This extreme heat thin films the oil, destroying the rubber O-rings on the high-pressure oil rail, and starvation damaging the EGR cooler. The resulting thermal expansion causes the cylinder head to warp, stretching the factory 4 bolts per cylinder torque-to-yield hardware. The financial stakes that trap, buying an unverified stock 6.0L and running it hard down the highway. Cost: $5,000 to $8,000 in immediate head gasket and oil cooler failures. The solution: targeting a truck with a documented, verified bulletproof build from a certified diesel specialist. Cost: $0. Your actionable fix: you must plug an OBD2 monitor into the diagnostic port before your test drive. Monitor the engine oil temperature EOT and engine coolant temperature ECT simultaneously. Drive the truck at 65 miles per hour on a level highway until the temperatures stabilize. If the delta, the temperature difference between your oil and your coolant, exceeds 15 degrees Fahrenheit, the oil cooler is already fully clogged. Walk away or deduct $5,000 from the asking price instantly. Setting 1, the 2018 to 2021 F-150 3.0L Powerstroke Lion Diesel. This is the rarest modern Powerstroke on the road, and it is losing value right now because the average American truck buyer has absolutely no idea what to do with it. Ford introduced this British-built dual overhead cam V6 to capture the half-ton high-efficiency market. Boasting 30 miles per gallon on the highway, they canceled it after just 3 years because buyers opted for the simpler EcoBoost or hybrid platforms. The market is terrified of orphan powertrains, which has caused these specific F-150s to drop by nearly 40% from their original MSRP. But the real danger isn't parts availability, it is the structural architecture of the block itself. Unlike the heavy-duty 6.7L, which uses a traditional cast iron block and a pushrod design, the 3.0L Lion Diesel uses a compacted graphite iron CGI block with a variable geometry turbocharger and a belt-driven high-pressure fuel pump mounted to the back of the engine. The hidden flaw lies in the oil pump belt drive system. Ford used a wet timing belt design, meaning the rubber compound belt runs completely submerged in engine oil inside the front cover. If a previous owner used cheap, non-specification oil, the sulfur and additive packages chemically attack the rubber compound. The belt material frays, shedding microscopic rubber teeth directly into the oil pan. Those rubber fibers clog the oil pickup tube screen, starving the variable valve timing phasers, and causing the crankshaft main bearings to seize. The financial stakes: the trap. Buying a used 3.0L diesel without oil analysis or belt verification and throwing a rod. Cost: $12,000 complete crate engine replacement. The solution: using the specific Motorcraft WSS M2C21 FEAR B1 specification oil and replacing the wet belt on schedule. Cost: $90 oil change. Your actionable fix: remove the engine oil fill cap and peer inside with a high-intensity flashlight. Look specifically for any signs of black sludge-like deposits or stringy rubber debris on the upper valve train components. Demand the exact maintenance logs. If the previous owner cannot prove they used the specific low SAPs, sulfated ash, phosphorus, and sulfur, Ford specification oil for every single service interval, do not purchase the vehicle under any circumstances. The overlooked feature: the exhaust after-treatment pressure trap. Across every single one of these 7 depreciating generations, there is one massive, hidden variable that determines whether you are buying a legendary high-mileage workhorse or a financial nightmare. It is the differential pressure sensor across the diesel particulate filter. When the market panics over these trucks, they are usually panicking over the cost of emissions compliance. Manufacturers design these systems to run a self-cleaning cycle called regeneration, where the engine injects extra fuel into the exhaust stroke to raise DPF temperatures to 100 degrees Fahrenheit to burn off trapped soot. But if the exhaust gas temperature sensors or the differential pressure lines develop microscopic leaks or corrosion, the engine management computer miscalculates the soot load. Instead of running a clean, controlled burn, the truck drops into continuous regeneration mode. This sends unburnt diesel fuel spraying down the cylinder walls, washing away the crosshatch lubrication film and destroying the piston skirt clearances. The engine slowly eats itself from the inside out, all while showing zero-check engine lights on the dashboard. The financial stakes the trap, trusting a clean dashboard display while the exhaust system is actively diluting your engine oil. Cost? $14,000 engine overhaul. The solution: forcing a manual regeneration check via diagnostic software to verify pressure drops. Cost: $200 diesel shop diagnostic fee. Your actionable fix when you inspect any Powerstroke built after 2007. Hook up a professional-grade bidirectional scan tool. Navigate to the powertrain control module and read the DPF differential pressure voltage or PSI reading at idle. A healthy, clear filter should read below 0.5 psi at idle. If you see a reading higher than 1.2 psi at idle, the filter is severely restricted, and the engine has been fighting extreme back pressure. Make the seller pay for a professional exhaust soot bake or drop your offer by $3,000 on the spot. You think you now have the complete picture to go out and steal one of these trucks from a panicked seller? Think again. There is one final, devastating market trend hitting the heavy-duty segment right now that is completely changing the legality of these purchases. And it is going to catch thousands of buyers completely off guard. We have reached the absolute peak of deception in the used diesel market. If you think a lower price or a clean service history on a modern truck guarantees a safe investment, you are the exact target these hidden flaws are designed to liquidate. The final two pitfalls represent a level of mechanical camouflage that fools even seasoned mechanics. And the last one is a trap that is actively ruining buyers who think they are outsmarting the system, setting zero. The 2011 to 2016 Ford cab and chassis models, the Fleet Illusion. This is the most dangerous value trap in the entire Super Duty lineup because it presents itself as an unbeatable deal. You find a 2015 F350 or F450 cab and chassis truck, often with a flatbed or service body, priced $10,000 below an identical model year consumer pickup truck. The seller tells you it is just depreciated commercial inventory. Your instinct tells you that commercial maintenance schedules are stricter, so the engine must be healthy. You are completely wrong. What the factory never advertised to consumer buyers is that the 6.7L Powerstroke installed in cab and chassis commercial models is fundamentally different from the engine in a standard pickup. To meet distinct commercial vehicle emission standards, Ford derated the commercial 6.7L engine block. Instead of the high-output variable geometry turbocharger used on standard pickups, the early commercial blocks received a smaller, waist-gated turbocharger with a completely different compressor wheel design. More critically, they utilized entirely different fuel injection calibrations and a less efficient exhaust after-treatment layout. While a standard 2015 pickup pumps out 440 horsepower and 860 pound-feet of torque, the commercial version sitting right next to it on the lot maxes out at a pathetic 300 horsepower and 660 pound-feet because these trucks are derated. Fleet operators run them at 100% capacity and maximum thermal load for hours on end. The constant thermal stress under high load causes the exhaust valves to undergo microscopic structural fatigue, leading to a dropped valve that obliterates the entire cylinder wall. Thermal stress failure inside a cylinder. Istochnik, BFK 92, Getty Images. The financial stakes the trap. Buying a cheap commercial flatbed assuming it has standard pickup performance and durability. Cost: $16,000 engine failure under your first heavy load. The solution: verifying the VIN configuration and selecting only true consumer spec pickups. Cost: your actionable fix before you look at the body condition. Read the 8th digit of the vehicle identification number, VIN. If the 8th digit is a T, it is a standard pickup spec 6.7L Powerstroke. If the 8th digit is an M, it is a derated commercial cab and chassis block. Do not buy an M code truck expecting consumer-level longevity or performance. The ultimate trap. The silent oil dilution of the 2020 Plus high output blocks this is the single most severe, high-stakes mechanical failure hiding in the used diesel market today. It targets the 2020 to 2022 fourth-generation 6.7L Powerstroke engines, the exact trucks people are buying right now to avoid older model complaints, because these trucks produce a massive 1,050 pound-feet of torque. Ford adjusted the high-pressure common rail fuel system parameters to inject fuel at pressures exceeding 36,000 psi to achieve these pressures while keeping emissions low. The engine uses ultra-precise piezoelectric injectors that fire up to 5 distinct injection pulses per combustion stroke. Here is the engineering flaw that manufacturer defaults will never admit. The engine computer uses an active post-injection strategy to clean the diesel particulate filter. This means the computer intentionally commands the injectors to spray raw diesel fuel directly into the cylinder during the exhaust stroke, so it can travel down to heat up the exhaust catalyst. If you use your truck for commuter driving, towing light loads, or extended idling, the cylinder temperatures never reach the thermal threshold required to fully vaporize that post-injection fuel. Instead, that high-pressure atomized diesel fuel sprays directly onto the cylinder walls. It cuts right through your engine oil's boundary layer lubrication film, bypasses the piston rings, and drains straight into the oil pan. This process is known as fuel dilution. Your 15W40 oil quickly thins down to a 5W20 equivalent. When you hook up a heavy trailer and hit the highway, your main crankshaft bearings lose their hydraulic film clearance, leading to spun bearings and total structural lockup. The worst part? The dashboard oil level sensor often reads completely normal because the rising volume of fuel replaces the burned oil. The financial stakes the trap. Buying a pristine, low-mileage 2021 Platinum model used exclusively as a suburban commuter vehicle. Cost: $22,000 complete long block engine assembly replacement. The solution: mandating Blackstone fluid testing and changing oil based on hours, not just mileage parameters. Cost: $40 fluid analysis. Your actionable fix when inspecting a 2020 or newer Powerstroke: pull the dipstick and look at the fluid level indicator. If the oil level is above the maximum crosshatch fill mark, the engine is actively making fuel in the oil pan. Do not test drive it. Insist that the seller allows you to pull a 2-ounce oil sample from the pan and send it to a professional fluid analysis laboratory to test for fuel percentage. Any fuel content reading greater than 2% means the engine is eating its own bearings from the inside out. The master blueprint: actionable defenses to survive this volatile used market and secure a high-capability truck without exposing your savings to a financial slaughter. You must reject manufacturer marketing and execute a strict diagnostic defense. Use this checklist on every inspection. Engine generation primary hidden danger. Immediate diagnostic defense 2011-2014 6.7L fuel dilution. Early EGR failure white paper towel dipstick smell test 2015-2016 6.7L Bosch CP 4.2 pump failure verified 15K mile fuel filter logs. Pressure test 2017-2019 6.7L 10 speed. Transmission slip 3 to 4 shift hot acceleration test 2020-2022 6.7L silent fuel dilution. Deleted systems OBD2 readiness scan. Physical DPF verification 2008-2010 6.4L Degas overpressurization chalky coolant residue inspection 2003-2007 6.0 Loyal cooler silicate clogging OBD2 live monitor EOT versus ECT delta. Check 3.0L Lion diesel wet timing belt degradation flashlight inspection of oil cap for rubber debris. The window to buy these highly capable Powerstroke trucks at a massive market discount is completely open right now because uneducated buyers are panicking over internet forum stories. But that window slams shut the second you buy someone else's deferred maintenance. Stop reading the forum comment sections. Stop trusting a freshly detailed engine bay or a clean dashboard display. Buy based on engineering metrics, oil analysis, and physical fluid pressures. Pick your generation. Execute these specific mechanical fixes before you hand over your hard-earned money, and you will own one of the most capable heavy-duty platforms on the road for a fraction of what everyone else is paying.